Studebaker bullet noses that I gotta show you. And no, you're not seeing double. You don't need to adjust your television. Don't do anything too wild. Yes, we happen to have two, and I mean happen to have two Studebaker bullet-nosed cars. Utterly fantastic to have them in my collection. I enjoy both of these cars. They're a lot of fun. I just purchased this one here out of New Jersey. This right here is just really unique champion. I like low-mile stuff. Original stuff is kind of cool. Just got it off the truck. Had to show it to you guys and gals because the way the doors open. Not too many cars do that. Lincoln Continental did, and a handful of cars do, but Studebaker did. Studebaker was a fantastic company to work for, and they thrived on safety. When Studebaker designed their cars, they had a new designer come in. His name was Bob Brokey. He was an aircraft guy, and a lot of cars had a lot of different looks like aircraft. Well, the bullet nose did come off, and where the nickname came from was really from Bob Brokey, who was a designer for the cars. This right here was a huge seller. They sold 3,884 cars, if I remember right. Look it up, and if I'm wrong, let me know. Get your t-shirt. But these right here are fantastic, and they're actually really cool to own, and they're really not a lot of money to get into. But having a Studebaker like this, having a four-door car, the Champion, they all came with six-cylinder engines. They didn't have a lot of horsepower, but they were very, very good, and they're very good to drive. These were still 6-volt systems. 12 volts really wasn't involved in the car system at all, but a Studebaker Champion, what a pretty cool car. A lot of guys street rod them. We happen to show a street rod car here today, too, also. The bullet nose had a lot of safety features, and people coming into this era of automobiles, just like the Tucker and a lot of other cars, safety was something the public really strived for, and they thought that was the way to sell new cars. Families are coming out. We're talking about after the war, so figure 1949, 1950, families were being emerged, and they want safety. When your mom hears safety, she wants to buy that car. The biggest deal really about the bullet nose is they have a long extension in here. This extension here is pretty much about 17 inches. Bumper comes out 17 inches, kind of a safety thing. So when the car did have an accident, or what they call little fender benders or bumper bushers, either way, they push right on in, and this right here is a very safe way to go. That's what the bullet nose was designed for. It was such a unique style, it had to catch on, and when you saw one of these cars go down the road, believe me, you knew that it was a Studebaker bullet nose car. Now this is a horse of a completely different color. 1950 Studebaker again with his little sister next to him. This has a little more horsepower. This upgraded with a V8 and happens to be a two-door. So Studebaker got quite a few models that year going, and they did really, really well, as we talked about earlier on Old Green there. But I'm telling you, there's some stuff about this car here that's really cool. This has an old school Buick Nailhead, to you real car guys, Nailhead Motors V8, 4-barrel carburetor, automatic transmission. This is when the street rodding's done. And if you notice to the front of the car here, guys, even though we got the bullet nose, no bumpers. Bumpers were removed in this car to give it that look, give it that really, really, really cool Studebaker street rod bullet nose look. Very sought after car, and this one here is absolutely really just fantastic. The colors are real deep. Base coat, clear coat, burgundy, two-stage base clear with a metallic into it, and it's absolutely just beautiful. Just a beautiful car. You guys probably see this run through the Bay Area, take it to a lot of the shows. We went ahead, this car has disc brakes, power steering, power brakes. With all the options the car has on it, makes it extremely drivable and really, really kind of a lot of fun. But that's what street rodding is all about. Now, the Studebaker 6-cylinders, like a lot of 6-cylinders around the market, that's really all the American cars really had to offer. There was some real, big interesting stuff, the straight eights and all such items. But the general cars out there, what people could really afford is the 6-cylinder motors. And this reader happens to have it has the Studebaker aluminum head, which is extremely rare and very, very desirable and very collectible for the guys who own a Studebaker that would like to have the words actually imprinted on the aluminum head. These heads were shaved down a little bit more to give you a little bit more compression for a 6-cylinder and gave you a little bit more boost. And we like a little more boost because we like horsepower, guys. We like horsepower. See how they had the dual horns up here on the firewall? And what I liked about this car here was the originality of the car. The car's very original. It's very much a survivor. The only changes that really were done on the car, the carburetor's been updated with jetting because the car does have higher compression. You're going to see all sorts of things in these cars that people have changed and modified. See how they got the 6-volt battery in here, like the original mounting brackets, how to hold it in place, the cable right here for the ground side on it. I mean, that's really what they kind of did back then, and things were done at, I don't want to say a little bit of a barbaric way, but they were done to make these cars serviceable and repairable. And cars back then did not have a lot of option, guys and gals, not a lot of stuff. You know, we got the windshield wipers right there between the two horns. But the other item we got right here is a heater blower motor. And usually the quickest way to tell if a car actually had a heater besides a blower motor is the radiator hose is actually like the red hose going through the background and goes right into the firewall to the heater core. And having a heater in a car, guys, I'm telling you, that was the best way to get a date, I'll tell you. Windshield wipers are replaced on this car right here with an electric motor. In the early years, they were all vacuum powered. It's a safety device we like to see put on some of these cars. This is on the car actually when we got it, but happened to have the little motor there to operate the windshield wipers instead of vacuum. And guys, there's a lot of clever ideas out there to do with some air conditioning condensers and compressor items and whatnot. This right here is turned over into a transmission cooler. Put the fan right here, and this right here helps keep that cool. So it'll lean it to the front where there's not a lot of room. So guys, out there, there's a lot of engineering ideas we do on these street rods, and that just happens to be one of them. This car happens to be a champion. You can see around the hubcaps, kind of like the little half-moon dish. Half-moon dish. If you notice, they used to call this a three-piece wheel. The actual wheel itself, you see kind of turquoise. And then you're going to see the beauty ring here on the outside. And then you see the small cap in the center, so three-piece wheels. And you can actually see some of the disc brakes inside here on these Torque Thrust D replication wheels, which is really kind of nice. Low profile tires make this car have that street rod drive, and of course the thing is that dual exhaust gives that street rod sound. You guys got to check this thing here out with the bullet nose. And being a two-door, I'm telling you, I really like the two-door an awful lot. Four-door has its own charm, you know, with the suicide doors. But there's some things in this car right here that you guys will notice that are a little bit different. On the hood, you'll see on the other car, we'll have the original hood ornament. The hood ornament was removed on this particular car and gave it, again, that sleek, street rod look. So when you have the bullet nose in the front with the bumpers taken off, it gives it that real fast look. You know, we got to look fast, we got to look smart, and that's what this car here has a lot to cover. This car right here looks like a dimmer switch. When the clutch pedal goes down, clutch pedal hits that little button, and that button there allows the car starter to turn over. So the car will only go crank, crank, crank when this little button goes down to the floor. And over here is your dimmer switch. That was the changes in Studebaker. That was actually a safety item that they put in the cars. But you see the dash in this car. You can see kind of why I got really excited about this particular car. Getting a Survivor and getting an original car. Because you guys know, I always have one thing I always say, every time, everywhere. A car is only original once. Now, they went ahead and put the rearview mirrors. They mounted them actually into the center pillar of these windows because these cars, they didn't really have the technology for American cars for the price they were selling cars for to have curvature in the glass. The glass had to be flat glass to make it Protecto glass. And the interior in this car is done really quite a bit different than a few of the others. And you guys can notice that we have a Buick steering wheel in the car with the tilt steering. And when you go to the floor down there where the clutch and the brake pedal are, you'll still see the two buttons. When the upholstery shop went ahead and did that, we did it for a little nostalgic mood also. All the gauges, a couple gauges in there that are upgraded to some updated stuff because we do need to make these cars here functional and seeable. And now where the brake pedal is, you see that comes right out of the bottom of the floor. We actually put a power booster on the bottom down there in this car, even though it comes out like the original one, but we had some room to work with, and so that's what we did. 3 people in the front seat. Back doesn't cover a lot being a two-door, so really the back seat's actually missing on it. And guys and gals, just to remind you, go into the drive-in movie in a Studebaker Champion 4-door car. Believe me, these seats and everything have a lot of comfort. Some people claim that there were a lot of children conceived in the back seat of the 1950 Studebaker Champion Bullet-nosed. I'm telling you, it just brings back all sorts of memories and very nostalgic. Thumbs up when you drive this car down the road, bringing it here for the TV shooting today. I'm telling you, people just literally stop to just look at this car. Hope you guys enjoyed the little bit of piece that we did on the Studebaker Bullet Nose. These are fantastic and really cool. See you guys again.